I just love your music, Alan. Thank you so much, because you've been the music behind many of the videos in Art Lovers Getaway. So it's really, really great to be here and to chat with you and to hear your experiences and reasons for creating your beautiful music. So tell me, how did you start, and what brought you to the guitar and creating?
Well, okay. I was 12 years old, and it was Christmas, and I asked for a guitar for Christmas. Okay, and this is the 60s, and I, of course, was inspired by rock and roll.
Yes.
And I had a brother, I have an older brother who decided he was going to take up the drums, and at the time, and he immediately got into a rock and roll band, and so I was the little brother who was 4 years younger, running around asking how this chord was played and how that chord was played. And I learned very quickly because of it. Although I was taking lessons at the same time, in my lessons we were still talking about the notes on the third string, and I was playing chords up the neck because I wanted so much to learn rock and roll. And so that evolved to a point where Jose Feliciano was also playing at that time, and he played fingerstyle, classical, Spanish guitar, and I wanted to learn to play with fingerstyle. And there was a teacher in the town where I was born, Sault Marie, and who taught classical guitar. And so before I know it, I was learning to play a bit of Bach and on the guitar. And so I moved from wanting to play rock and roll music to classical music and into that. And as a consequence, after high school, I studied at the conservatory in Toronto for a couple of years with Norbert Kraft. And I don't know if you're familiar with Norbert Kraft, but Norbert Kraft is considered, at this time, probably one of the best guitarists in the world. So I got to spend 2 years with him.
And this was in Toronto?
In Toronto, yeah. So, like that, yeah.
So you've learned from the best.
Really, yes.
And a wide repertoire, from rock and roll to classic.
Right, really, yes. Yes, and everything except perhaps blues, because I always joke and say I could never be unhappy enough to play blues. But anyway.
But you also create your music, so you've played creations, but now you're actually composing as well.
Right.
Yeah. Well, Arrington Road.
Yeah.
Now that's a wonderful CD.
Right.
And that came out of experiences living in Arrington Road.
Well, people always think that, okay, the assumption is that you live your life and you have experiences, and out of those experiences come the creation of music, or you have a love affair that goes badly, and out of that comes a beautiful piece of music. And I think perhaps it does for some people, but for me, I would say that music comes out of music. And I had one teacher who said that fooling around was a proper way to practice, and because out of this fooling around comes the inspiration for music. And just as when you're writing, one of the things people do is they do this creative flow where they just, whatever comes to mind, they put it on the page. Well, musicians do the same thing. They pick up the guitar and they play anything, any note, any rhythm. Or they pick up a piano and put their fingers anywhere, or retune the guitar, anything that sparks the creativity. And so we do that as part of our practice routine. And out of it will just come a few notes, like Arrington Way came out of. So I just had that, and I was, I was just fooling around, really. Nothing more than just fooling around. And then once you've got that, then you have the basic inspiration for your song. And then it has to fit like a normal format of having an A section, a B section, and then coming back to the A section. And so you have to go to work and make the song, the initial inspiration makes sense. But that's how all of my music comes out of it. At least 99% of it is just picking up the guitar every day and playing it. And just seeing what comes, and yeah.
Is it always a pleasure to pick it up every day?
Oh yeah, I've never.
It's not been a struggle.
Oh
God, it's 10 o'clock. I'm supposed to pick up the guitar.
No, I know, but people always talk about having to play the piano every day, and I would run home every day as a kid to play my guitar, and I would just put my fingers anywhere and think, that sounds so beautiful. I hope that hope that's this chord, And, but my parents would have to pull it out of my hands to get me to go to sleep at night. And no, since I was 12, I've always had my guitar, and I've never been without it. And rarely in those 44 years, have I not played my guitar. So it's just there. It's always around. And Brandy's well acquainted with that, my wife, because, the guitar is always, she watches television and I practice, or she'll read and I'll play. And I even have a guitar at work, or if I have lunch or something, I play my guitar. And so I just always have it, or in the park.
So it's you.
It's really part of me, and I can't imagine. I think if I can't play my guitar, then that's it. If that ever happened, then that would be the end of it. So, yeah.
Do you have something new you're working on right now?
I have a few things in the work, nothing completely finished. I think what always happens is you always have them in various degrees of completion. I don't know if that's like that with painting, but there's always like a few where you've got the inspiration, but you haven't kind of completed it. Maybe the middle section is missing on it or something. I always have like 2 or 3 of them that are various.
Do you record it as you go along so you can remember, or can you just remember? Can you go, bring that back in?
I think musicians have really good memories because we're just in the habit of memorizing things all the time, particularly classical musicians. Someone said that once that the brain has a very, very deeply cut grooves in it because you take a phrase and you repeat it so many times. So playing music cultures a very good memory. So yeah, most of it is I've memorized, but I also have a recording studio now, which is so amazing. We have this technological age. So if I have an idea, I can go into my studio and record the idea and then come back and work on it or complete it. So yeah, I mean that's great now. And what's also amazing about that is before I would write music and I would go into the recording studio and I would play it and he would play it back and I'd think, this needs to change, this is not right, that's not right. And now I can do it at home long before I get to the studio, so I know it's sounding the way I want it to. So the recording studio has been very helpful in creating music because, not only that, but I can play 2 guitars. I can record the initial track and then put something on top of it, and I've done some writing that way too. So, yeah.
So do you record your own CDs, or do you use some of the studios here on the island?
Both. So the last CD that I did, Imprints, I did all the initial tracks on my own in the basement, and I did them over a course of a year. Like I'd have one song that I liked, and I'd go into the studio and I'd record it. And then the last one was done with Christian Stonehouse, who was Randy Bachman's technician. And so I took my work and I took it into the studio just to make sure that everything was done properly, because you don't want to represent yourself in any kind of amateur way, even though that anybody can record now. Certainly you want to represent yourself in a professional way, so you need to take it to somebody who can bring it up to a professional level and make sure that there's no obvious mistakes in it. And so he was very good at that. Salt Spring Island is amazing. I mean, we're talking about it being a mecca for the arts, but for me to have someone like Christian Stonehouse, it's so easily accessible to me, and for him to come over and say, no, Alan, you need this equipment, you need this has to be done this way, and to answer all my questions, and then for him to finish it for me, and really it wouldn't cost me any more than if I lived in Vancouver. Where else could you do that? Yeah, where else could I have that access to that kind of person? This is called Water. And it's from the Imprints album.